Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. So we talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Russ Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our video. We're down to 16 teams in March Madness. The Sweet 16 is here, and I'm going to be previewing and predicting every single one of these games to see which teams I believe is going to be moving on to the Elite Eight. To start out with the first matchup, we got the Clemson Tigers playing the Arizona Wildcats at 7 o'clock on CBS on Thursday night. And the game is in California, which I think is very important because you know that stadium is going to have a lot more Arizona fans than it's going to have Clemson fans. Arizona is favored by a hefty 7.5 points. Arizona is a team that I usually do not trust in March Madness. They usually have been falling short lately in the tournament, but this team looks different. Clemson's been a surprise. That win over Baylor was huge. I was not expecting them to win that game. They've been very impressive so far in the tournament, but I do think that the Clemson Tigers run is going to end in the Sweet 16, and they're going to fall to the Arizona Wildcats 85-78. Then in the next game on TBS and True TV at 7:40, you've got the San Diego State Aztecs and the Yukon Huskies in a rematch of last season's national championship game. What are the odds that would occur? This should be a fun one, even if it wasn't for that aspect of these two teams being in the national championship game last year. I still think this is going to be a fantastic game. Yukon, a lot of people think that they're unbeatable and that Yukon is going to be able to win another national title, but San Diego State should have revenge on their mind, and they have a really good team. Jaden Ledee is playing excellent basketball, but they are a 9.5-point underdog in this game. The game is also being played in Massachusetts, so that is going to benefit the Yukon Huskies a lot. San Diego State fans, they're going to travel, but there's not going to be as many of them there as there's going to be Yukon fans. I think San Diego State's going to give them a great game, but the Huskies are going to be too much in the end, and they're going to knock off San Diego State 80-72 for Yukon to move on to the Elite Eight. Then we've got the Alabama Crimson Tide and the North Carolina Tar Heels at 9:40 on CBS. I can't wait for this matchup. You know there's going to be a ton of offense in this game. The over-under's at like 174 points, so people are definitely expecting both these teams to be running up and down the floor and getting hot in a hurry on offense. Carolina is favored by 4.5 points. Some people believe North Carolina can win it all. Other people think that it's going to be Houston or Yukon, but North Carolina is definitely a team that I believe has a shot to win a national title. Alabama is a very good team. Their offense, like I've already mentioned, is fantastic, but the defense for Alabama is worse than North Carolina's. Mark Sears is going to have to outperform R.J. Davis if the Crimson Tide are going to have any shot in this game. This game is being played in California, so I don't really think that's going to really necessarily help out either team when it comes to the fans. North Carolina should have more fans, though, because it's North Carolina, but I'm going to go with the Tar Heels to squeak out a win over Alabama 84-81. I think the Tar Heels are just going to have a little bit too much offense for the Crimson Tide. And then in the final matchup on Thursday night, we've got the Iowa State Cyclones playing the Illinois Fighting Illini. This is a matchup that I cannot wait for. The game is being played in Massachusetts as well, so I do believe that there should be a pretty solid amount of fans for both teams at this game. Illinois's got a good fan base. Iowa State has a good fan base. But Illinois, they have not made the Sweet 16 since 2005, so they are pumped. They have a really solid team this year. Guys like Coleman Hawkins, Terrence Shannon, Marcus Damas, they have all allowed Illinois to have the great season that they have had. And some people believe that Illinois is the most balanced team in the Big Ten and possibly could make the furthest run in March Madness out of all the teams in the Big Ten. But they're going to have to get by a tough Iowa State squad that just has a great team. Keyshawn Gilbert, Milan Momosivic, all those players are tough to stop. And when you got a guy like TJ Otzelberger, a head coach who just knows how to fuse all of that transfer portal talent together, it's amazing to behold. And Iowa State is favored by 2.5 points over Illinois. I think this is going to be one of the closest games of the Sweet 16. I think it's going to come down to the final bucket, but I am going to go with Iowa State to move on to the Elite Eight with a 77-75 win over Illinois. Now, as we move on to the Friday games, we got 4 games left. The NC State Wolfpack have been a surprise team, and they're facing the Marquette Golden Eagles. NC State won those 5 games in 5 days to end the regular season in the ACC tournament. No team has ever done that, and now they knocked off Texas Tech and Oakland in the NCAA tournament to get here. A lot of people believe they have a shot to upset Marquette. Tyler Kolek, though, is back for Marquette off his injury. Him, along with Cam Jones and Oso Ighodaro, make Marquette such a tough team to beat. Colorado came close, but they weren't able to get it done. I believe if Tyler Kolek was not able to play in this game, NC State would be able to knock off Marquette with how well that they're playing. DJ Burns is everybody's favorite player to watch right now in March Madness. And I think with Casey Morsell and DJ Horn in the backcourt, it gives the Wolfpack a chance to win. The game's being played in Texas, so I don't really think that's going to help out either team when it comes to the fans. Marquette is favored by 6.5 points. And even though NC State has been such a surprise team this season in March Madness, I believe that Marquette's going to end the Wolfpack's run with a 74-71 win. Now to move on to the Gonzaga Bulldogs and the Purdue Boilermakers. This is a game that I have been waiting for because I had a feeling that these two teams were going to match up in the Sweet 16. I predicted it in my March Madness bracket. And with the Purdue Boilermakers, this is such an important game for Matt Painter because even though he did make the Elite Eight a few years ago with Carson Edwards, Purdue has struggled so often in the NCAA tournament the last few seasons, losing to teams that they shouldn't. But Purdue has avoided that so far this season. They've got to the Sweet 16. They knocked off Utah State in the second round in a very convincing win, winning by 40 points. But Gonzaga, they've got a really solid team as well. A lot of people discredited Mark Few's squad this year, saying that Gonzaga was no longer the elite program that they have been for the last 10 years. But I think Gonzaga proved a lot of people wrong down the stretch of the season with their improved play. Graham Ike is going to have to find a way to stay in the game and not get into foul trouble guarding against Zach Edey. If he does get into foul trouble, that's going to really hurt the Gonzaga Bulldogs. I believe that this is a game that is going to be going down to the wire. And this game is also being played in Michigan, which is going to help out the Purdue Boilermakers with their fan base. But I'm actually going to predict an upset here with the Gonzaga Bulldogs knocking off Purdue 82-79. Purdue is favored by 4.5, but something just tells me Mark Few is going to have his team ready to go, and he's going to help the Gonzaga Bulldogs move on to the Elite Eight over the Purdue Boilermakers. Then in the second to last game, we got the Duke Blue Devils and the Houston Cougars. A lot of people think that the Duke Blue Devils are starting to figure things out. They just blew out James Madison in their last game. Jaron McCain, their star freshman, had 30 points in that matchup. He played fantastic basketball. This game's being played in Texas, though, which is not going to help out Duke. The Houston fans are going to be very loud in this game. I think there's going to be some Duke fans there for sure because they have a great fan base. But Houston fans are jazzed up for March Madness. They believe that their team has a shot to win it all. Houston is favored by 3.5 in this game. I think the Duke Blue Devils are starting to peak at the right time, and I did pick against them against James Madison, and I was proved wrong. So I think there is a shot they can win, but I'm going to go with Houston to knock off Duke 75-72. I believe that the Cougars defense is going to be just a little bit too much for the Duke Blue Devils, and Kelvin Sampson's squad will be moving on to the Elite Eight. And then in the final game in the Sweet 16, we've got a matchup that I think a lot of people are looking forward to with the Creighton Blue Jays playing the Tennessee Volunteers. The Tennessee Volunteers are a team like Purdue that a lot of people do not trust in March Madness, but to Rick Barnes' credit, he has gotten Tennessee to 2 straight Sweet 16s. Creighton, though, is a very consistent program, and you could argue that they've been better lately. They were able to make the Elite Eight last year, lost to San Diego State in a very controversial ending, and I think Creighton is back for revenge. Tennessee has a deeper team, which does worry me, but Creighton has the better starting 5, I think, overall. Michigan is where this game is being played, so that's going to help out Creighton with their fans. Tennessee's being favored by 2.5 points in this game. I think I trust Greg McDermott a little bit more than Rick Barnes to lead his team to the Elite Eight. I'm going to go with Creighton to knock off Tennessee 82-74. But those are my predictions for the Sweet 16 matchups. I cannot wait for all of these games. I'm going with Arizona, Yukon, UNC, Iowa State, Marquette, Gonzaga, Houston, and Creighton to all advance to the Elite Eight. All of the matchups are going to begin on Thursday, and then we're going to have the Friday matchups as well. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see which teams move on to the Elite Eight and which teams are going to be sent home. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about my picks for the Sweet 16 games and which teams you believe are going to end up advancing to the Elite Eight. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Follow me on Twitter. Link is in the description, and I'll see you next time.